steal the steering wheel for a second and ask you guys a question about that?
Drive this bus.
Watch out, bitches.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Why
okay.
watch out, bitches is the word that wanted to come to my mind, but I'm like,
Merch.
Watch out, bitches.
Rat
The
girls.
rat girls are in town.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Today I Am podcast. I'm Taylor, here with Megan and Sam.
We're excited to share stories from our lives, past and present, and talk through the lessons we've learned along the way.
It's all about reflection, not perfection. We're here to keep it real, create a space for open and honest conversations, and build a community. So grab a seat,
Get comfy.
And join us each week as we figure out who we are today
Together.
sorry, no, go ahead.
You can start us off normal.
Okay. How was everyone's week this week?
Oh my God.
You could have just started that.
I know. I know, I was just going to say something so cute that happened the other night. I was laying on our couch, and I had like a couple pillows, like, so I was laying like facing this way, like arm here, and then I had a couple pillows kind of where you are, and Mayday came and like laid on those pillows, and then she was like, just being how she always is, like flopping around, changing position, whatever, and so she ended up laying, like, basically like arched over the pillows with her legs towards me, and then like her head away from me. And she was like having dreams, I think, and kicked my stomach. And then they were like kicking back and forth. And I don't think it was like real like that. Like, I think it was just like, it just happened to kind of happen.
Well, like, he definitely felt her kicking and
Well,
was
and
like...
there's been one other time that I've done something and I've like grabbed my stomach, being like, like excited and being like, that sounds like so weird. But like, not just like, I was thinking about something like about him and I was like, oh my God, like whatever. And not that it was like so over the top, but I did like touch my stomach like kind of quickly out of nowhere, and that did make him move.
He's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's like, I was sleeping and now we're very excited.
Yeah, so I think that perhaps he felt her and then like moved, but then I don't think her kicking back after that was her feeling him.
She's
I think
like,
she was
stop!
just like,
She's
"Mom,
like,
move."
Yeah.
I need more space.
That's really cute,
That
though.
is so
right?
cute.
Yeah.
Because they do say, like, dogs no. Or pets, like, think
Yeah.
in general. I don't think it's just dogs.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Cats
definitely.
would know. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know if it was just dogs, though. Or if
I
it
don't
was
know.
pets in general. I don't know. So that's cute. That's really cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
How was your day?
Oh, fine. No, I
She
don't
says
really
it.
have. My week is
A
good.
week.
Yeah.
I felt like this week I
lived 1,000 lives.
Yeah.
I was not
It
gonna
was
say that.
busy.
And I wasn't gonna say that either, actually. I was gonna speak on the fact that I always think like, yeah, duh, I'm an adult and I'm like empowered to do adult things. And this week I was in Edmonton for a couple of nights, unexpectedly a couple of nights, but a few nights. And I seriously like had to talk myself up to going and having dinner alone. And it was a weird feeling because I was like, and like I worked in restaurants, I served people who used to sit alone. Like there's nothing wrong with eating dinner alone, but I'm such a person who always just like tries to like be around other people when they're doing those types. And I usually use those social outings as a way to like be with other people. But yeah, I like I was in Edmonton for 2 nights. The first night I was like, I'm gonna go and have dinner and like I'm doing it alone. And then I ended up booking a massage instead, and then I ended up ordering food to my
Love
room
that.
because I
Good
was
choice.
like,
Good
actually,
That
And then-
was the right choice.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was. I'm really sad, actually. I found a great massage therapist, and now she's in Edmonton, and I'm like,
Well, you're there a lot.
Yeah.
So.
well, now I have like an exciting thing I can treat myself to in this odd chance I get a spare moment when I am down there.
For sure.
But yeah, so that was lovely. So then the second night was the night I wasn't planning on staying in Edmonton. I was going to drive home after my event, and then there was a freak snowstorm. And so last night I was like, I want to eat like in my hotel room a second night. So I did it. I went to the restaurant. I sat down. I ordered my food. I sat at a table alone.
How did you feel? Like during and after?
Like I felt ridiculous for feeling stressed about it before. Like I was like, this is literally, you're eating, like it's like, I would sit at home and eat at my kitchen table alone. Why don't I want to go in public and do it?
You know what's so funny though is that I feel like if I'm on a work trip or something, I feel totally fine with it. Like I'll do everything alone. Like I'll go fully out to a restaurant. I do think it's like way easier just eat in a hotel alone.
Yeah.
But like I'll go to like a nice restaurant alone. I don't care, like whatever. but I would feel weird about like doing it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like if
agree.
I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to go to this restaurant or something, I would, oh my God, my brain. If I was alone, I would just order it if I was at home.
Mhm.
But then when I'm traveling for work specifically, then
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm doing all this alone.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I feel like that's something like I, prior to like last fall, didn't really travel for work ever. So it's just like something I think I'm just
It's
learning.
like newer.
Oh,
But-
totally.
and I'm always with coworkers, and this was the first time I actually went up to Edmonton completely solo. But yeah, so I was like, I felt really good after it. Like, it went, so like PSA, if you're debating on if you look silly going for dinner alone, you don't. Literally nobody cares that you're alone. Get over the hurdle, like in your head, and just
Yeah.
do it.
Well, and also literally, like, I would never, even here
No.
or whatever, like, I would never see someone eating alone and be like, oh, what are they doing?
Right.
Ever.
Like,
Like that
it
for
wouldn't
someone-
even cross my mind to have a thought about it.
No, not at all.
Well, and like for some
Like,
reason,
what's the
that's
shame in that? Like, people are just
exactly.
eating,
The shame is what you put on yourself.
dining, having an
Nobody's-
experience.
Nobody was telling me it was a bad thing. Not a
Mhm.
single person at any time was like, "Oh, you're in Edmonton. Are you going to eat dinner alone?" Like,
Yeah. Oh, you're
Like,
eating.
Perhaps, maybe it's like, oh, a very romantic restaurant on Valentine's. I see someone eating alone. I'm like, oh, what happened there?
Yeah.
But like, even then,
did you choose?
take yourself out.
literally,
Yeah. No. So that was my like.
I'm glad
exciting
you did it,
thing.
and I'm glad
like
you
it.
felt good about it after.
But yeah, and so what I want to talk about today, kind of. So when I was saying like I use it as a way to like kind of socialize and go out with people to like go to restaurants. I also feel like it's a way that I use it to connect with people. And so the topic,
Using going out to restaurants?
Yeah. like as a way, it's just like a platform when I don't want to have people over at my house. I don't want to go to someone else's house. It's a common area that we can all go and catch up, share conversations, all of that, find out what's happening in each other's lives. And so this week I went to an event, and it just.
excuse me.
I had a different topic I actually wanted to talk about today, and I kind of reshifted it because I was like, it feels like I should talk about this now while it's fresh in my mind. But today I am focusing on connecting. And I want to say connecting in a broad way. I don't mean like just with people, with connecting in the whole scale of connecting, because I think it's something that's so, so, so important. And when I think back to some of the more like stressed out times in my life, and some of the times where maybe I wasn't feeling like the better versions of myself, when I've really like sat back and reflected on it, it's because I wasn't actually intentionally connecting with anything. Myself, nature, people, and like those are the times that you tend to digress, and that's when your mental health really takes a toll. So yeah, so today I just like want to talk about that journey of connecting, like for all of us, for ways that we find it helps. One of the craziest stats that I heard at the event yesterday, and it's like a Mental Health Canada stat from what I remember, is that I have it written down because I'm not going to remember it.
Just like suspense.
I thought I could. I was feeling so confident that I was like, no. As soon as I start saying words, it's not going to come out.
Memorizing a stat is, I feel like, a difficult.
Well, because then I'm like, okay, it's not going to be a stat because it's going to be whatever my brain remember it as. Lack of social connection is comparable to significant health risks. Studies have indicated that social isolation can be as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being an alcoholic.
Holy!
That is a crazy stat, but also I love how you read that the words you emphasized were social isolation, not the smoking or alcoholism. You were like, social isolation!
But like, we just have to think
crazy.
about that stuff. Like,
Totally.
okay, if you told me that you all of a sudden, okay, maybe not you because you're pregnant right now. If you told me that you had picked up the habit and you were smoking 15 cigarettes a day, I would do everything in my power to help you come out of that.
Seriously.
But if you, and like, I'm very lucky because I do actually think I would still go out of my way to help you with it. But if you were like, yeah, I haven't like talked to anyone in 3 weeks, like I'd be like, oh my gosh, like that sucks. Like, are you okay? But I wouldn't think more of it.
You wouldn't think of it in the same way you would
Yeah.
think that it's affecting someone's health,
Yeah.
like smoking 15 cigarettes a day would.
Yeah.
You would think,
15
oh,
is so many.
how many cigarettes are in a pack?
I have no idea.
20 maybe? There's 2 rows. I have no idea how many are in each row though.
Are packs different sizes or are they standard?
I think they're different sizes. Can confidently say I have not bought the
Because I was going to say,
myself.
like, 15 cigarettes sounds like about a pack a day.
I think it's less than a pack, but it's basic. Let's chalk it up to a pack.
Yeah.
Like,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
Being lonely can cause just as much harm.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really, really
Hearing that, I was like, oh my, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, how many people in my life are lonely and how can I help them and all that. But
Makes
then
you
it's like,
think that.
it does. And it's like, a lot of the stories that I heard, like, it was kind of a topic around what we talked about yesterday, and just like sitting there listening, I was like, oh, and like listening to people's sort of journeys throughout like their struggles they had and how they overcame them and how they got where they are and all of that. And like I actually kid you not, the one common denominator in every single speaker that spoke was, and then I found my community, and then I found my support system, or this one person just nurtured me a little extra and helped me get there. And yeah, so it's crazy how important connection is.
Yeah, totally. This is kind of like a piece of connection, but I was actually like just talking to one of my employees about the fact that we work fully remote and just like the realities of that. And I feel like I am somebody who's done fairly well in that environment, but it's challenging to still post-COVID be in a fully remote workplace. And if I talk to anybody who's interviewing or a new hire or whatever, that is like the number one thing that I like basically warn them of. If they're like, and what's like not so great, or like what's been hard, or even if they ask me what do you like about this place, I'm like, here's the things I like, but I like it, but you have to really get right with yourself that you are going to be in your house every single day. And because of that, I find that there are definitely times where I go through, and it's something that like Anthony and I talk about a lot, because then his work is so social that when he comes home, that's his time to like decompress and not talk to anybody and just chill out. And then that's the first person I've actually seen all day. And so it's not ever been like a fight or like an issue or something, but it's definitely something that we've had to like realize and like kind of navigate around, that it's like, oh yeah, your time at home is your like rest, chill, whatever time, and my time at home is so much work all the time that I like have to go and do other things, and I have to force myself to see people, and I have to force like him and I to do things. I have to force him.
And we're going on a date.
You know, but like just because I spend so much time at home that I definitely feel that at times, and I can feel myself getting into like bad moods about work or being more irritable or whatever if I'm letting myself like just work and then not leave my house after.
Well, and that was like one of the things I wanted to talk about around connection was like the workplace, because I have been in many like in all of the roles, all of the like places I've worked, where I am my happiest is when I actually feel connected to my team, my management. I feel like I'm heard, I'm understood, and that's done through literally spending time on them getting to know me getting to know them. And I had a pretty drastic change in August of like, I was pretty much in a corporate office every day except for one a week, sometimes not even any. And like the way, exactly that, like when I'm getting stressed about work or when I was getting like frustrated, I could walk over to someone else's desk and say like, can we go on a walk? And going on, and like I work downtown, so you just go through the plus 15s, and then like by the time I came back to the office, I had that like,
even just literally seeing other people, like in an office setting, like, this sounds so silly, but like the hustle and bustle of like other people, if you're just sitting there, it's like energizing just to like people watch and kind of just see other people around. And even if you're not, like obviously you're gonna like physically talk to people in an office, but even just having that like as a surrounding, I feel like is that sense of connection so much that you don't get when you're working from home, like we all have.
Well, even just like walking in and being like, oh, morning, whatever, like those sorts of things. It's like, okay, there's going to be the moments where it's like, oh, you end up having lunch at the same time as someone and you cross paths, or like the classic, like, oh, water cooler chat, like whatever, like those things are going to happen. But it's even something as simple as just like saying hi to somebody, seeing a person in real life, not on a screen. Like, totally.
Well, and, like, I feel very lucky because I have a team that connects very intentionally virtually. And we also have like team meeting once a month. So I actually, and like, because like me and Andrew, for example, because Andrew is fully remote and I am work from home, but we like to joke I work actually less from home now than I did before.
True.
But because of that, I don't ever feel that like isolation feeling. So I almost feel like I didn't acknowledge like maybe, and the example you used is exactly the example of like how we have also had to go through that. Because I like have become a person who really needs alone time to like recharge. But poor Andrew has just been working all day on his, like in our bedroom actually, so he hasn't even left our bedroom. And then he comes downstairs, I get home from my meeting, it's 5 o'clock, it's about dinner time, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have dinner and then I wanna go watch my shows. And he's like, oh.
He's like, but can we talk?
And it's like, yes, I wanna talk with you, but also I've just talked all day. So that's stuff that we've had to be really intentional with as well. And I've had to have, like, I have to know when I need to be like, no, I need this, or find ways that, like, when I'm with him, I can still get that rest, but also still foster that connection that he needs for me.
Totally.
I feel that very similarly but different. Obviously, like, you guys are both working in like a corporate setting right now, and I am on maternity leave still, so hard to relate. Like, I can relate previously, but like just currently where my life is at, I'm not like,
but they're similar.
But it's similar because just with postpartum in general, there's so many things I could talk about like that connection piece and stuff. But just what you guys were saying of, even if like when Tyler would come home after work, him working away, so he's just been like all week in work, working with people, whatever. Obviously he's so excited to like come home and see like his daughter and me and whatever, but he's like, okay, I just need like a bit of time to like decompress. He's been traveling all day, and I'm like, oh my god, finally someone that's like home, that's not just me and my child, like an adult that I can talk to. And I'm like, blah, 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 these are all the things that happen. And he's like, yeah, I love you, but can you just like give me a minute? I'm like, sorry, I just like needed that other connection other than
it's what
my
we
toddler.
crave. Like you as the person who's been home, like you're like, no, and it's not even the connection piece of like, because like obviously you see like me and Meg and your
For
family,
sure.
but it's just that like intentional connection with your comfort person.
Especially just talking about us all being like in your house, because we all spend like so much time in your house, and when it's just like you, I mean, obviously I have my child, but it's just different.
Especially because she's not like talking and stuff.
Yeah, it's just like quiet of me, you know, and it's just like then having someone else physically in your house, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this
There
is
are many
nice.
times when Anthony will come home and I'll be like, I always try to not bombard him right when he walks in, and I'm like, and how was your day? He'll be like, yeah, pretty good. And I'll be like, okay, I have 6 things to tell you. And I literally,
Here's my list.
Literally, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to tell you this. I need to tell you this gossip. I need to tell you this fact. I need to ask you about this thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then we have that little conversation, and then he's like, I'm going to go downstairs for a little bit.
100%.
But now that's how you guys work it. You get everything you need out, he entertains that for a few minutes, and then he's like, and I gotta go back.
Literally. And like, I want to just be clear, it's not like he's like, it's not like I'm like, I don't know, do you need any groceries? And he's like, no. Or like, it's something, like, it's not like, whatever. It'll be like, oh, I want to tell you about this like fun thing at work. And then we have that conversation. And I'm like, okay, check. Like, it is still meaningful.
Well, and there's a give and a take too, because there's other times that Tyler needs more of a connection with me, and I'm like, okay, I've just been overstimulated with a baby. I don't want to talk or do anything. Like, right? So like, it's a give and a take, and it's just like, we're obviously noticing it the times that we need the connection, but
For sure.
it goes back and forth.
Well, and I think that's like something as we get older, I feel like, or at least if you're doing a little bit of work on yourselves and you're trying to figure out what you need, like, you have a pretty good idea. Not this couch at all, but you know, if you are out there. But like, we have a pretty good idea of like what we need for that connection piece now. And I think like, especially hearing that like cigarette stat, I was like, oh God, like who in my life needs that connection? Like, what am I not paying attention to?
That's crazy.
I was going to say earlier too, like with that stat, it made me like, this is not groundbreaking at all, but it's like, if somebody was smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or even, okay, like smoking, it's like literally you walk near a smoker and you smell like them.
Yes.
So like you'd notice it very quickly. So like maybe we'll say like alcohol. Is like if somebody was like an alcoholic, like you would probably notice that pretty quickly from like physical symptoms. And you also would like see them drinking most likely.
And you can like physically see the digression almost.
Exactly. But like if somebody's just isolating, like, okay, yes, for all of us, because also we spend a lot of time together. So if one of us was isolating, it would be like from
very
us,
clear.
so we would notice it. But like if, I don't know, someone else in my life that it's like I'm close with still, but I don't see as frequently was doing it, I probably wouldn't recognize it that quickly. And so that's the other part of it that's so crazy, that the physical symptoms are so like intense, and yet they're not seen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and like, I was really, when I was thinking about this and kind of what I wanted to talk about and stuff, I was really reflecting kind of back and trying to like pinpoint, like I said, like I've now noticed like times where I can think back and I'm like, no, I desperately needed to give more time and attention to the connection piece, and instead I was pulling away from it. And a specific time that like I can bring up is when I took a 2-month mental health leave from work. Like it was a really good time for me. Like I took time to kind of figure out some maybe like anxiety medications and like what I needed to kind of make myself better. But during that time, it was like the worst time in my mind to like have that happen when I look back, and like the regrets I have about that time is it was a time that both of you had just gotten engaged and we were like ramping up the excitement around your weddings. And I can specifically like think of like a couple of events around that time that I didn't attend, and it was more or less because I think my mental health was so bad. And like, but when I think back to that, I'm like, okay, myself now, like I'm like, man, I wish I could have just like shown up and not had it feel like effort to show up, or like I wish that I could have like given myself what I needed to like be able to like nurture those connections, and it was nobody else's job to nurture those connections, it was mine, or like even just to be able to articulate it. But at the time I didn't have like those tools and that awareness. And
when I think you literally kind of just said like you were giving yourself what you needed at that time with the information you had and with where you were at. So I want you to give yourself grace with that, because like
we can't go back and change the past. Like I'm not.
And I understand what you're saying, because I'm not trying to invalidate that, but I also want you to give yourself grace, because it's like you were, you know, dealing with some mental health things, like you were saying, and you just wanted to figure that out, and you were doing what was best for you in that time. And if that meant, you know, you didn't show up for some things, maybe looking back now, you're like, oh, I wish I could have gone, but you were doing what you could in that time.
At the time, you can only do what you can do, and like, again, like I just hadn't done. And so this is also my other PSA in this whole episode is do the work on your mental health before you have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will miss out on some fun things in life. And it is, like you said, like, it was work I had to do. But that's a time where, like, realistically, now that I can look back at it, I'm like, no, like, what I really wish that I could have channeled more of was the connection piece. And, like, being able to clearly articulate to people, like, how maybe I could have gotten help in that time, like, from my support system. Because my support system was asking. Like, it wasn't like I just had a bunch of friends that were like, you're fine. But also, if you don't, so, like, as the individual in the situation, I'm like, okay, I, like, wish that I had the tools to go out and ask for more connection, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, you took the words out of my mouth of, like, I was going to say the same thing, like, give yourself the grace for that. But I do think it's also interesting that, like, looking back on that time, it's like, okay, yeah, we want to all be responsible for our own connection and whatever, but also, like, more of that story, in my mind, is more like, oh, it wasn't like your responsibility to be fostering connections at that point, because like you were the one that needed it. And so I think that's like
you were focusing on the connection with yourself.
That was a long journey
and I know that kind of sounds so cheesy, but that's so true. Like you need to, like, sometimes there's going to be bigger moments in your life where you need more connection with yourself in order, and you doing the work that you did for connecting with yourself then has now allowed you to, like, bring yourself to where you are now, where, like, look at your connections now. Like, you know? Can I steal the steering wheel for a second and ask you guys a question about that?
Drive this bus. Watch out, bitches!
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Why watch out, bitches is the word that wanted to come to my mind, but I'm like, merch!
Watch out, bitches.
Rat
the rat girls are in town. The rats have made it to Alberta.
On the front it just says rat girl, and then on the back it's like a big emblem that says watch out, bitches. With a bus.
Guys, please subscribe so we can get merch that says this.
We need
I know you all want it.
Alright, so back to the bus driver over here.
Anyways, what's your question?
I was gonna say that like you kind of said this, and then you were kind of agreeing with like it from what you said of being like, you know, you didn't have those tools at that time, but you feel like you might have them now. Is there for either of you, like, first of all, is there like a tangible tool that you feel has helped teach you how to ask for that connection, or how to find that connection, or how to identify when it's needed? Or was there like a situation that helped you like learn that was something you needed? I know that obviously it's just like a bit of a journey, but is there anything that's like maybe like tangible for somebody who's struggling with it?
Do you have anything tangible? Because I do not. I have like an example of a time in my life, but I have no idea.
I have like one, and it's not like something that I can be like, here is your tool in your toolkit. Like, it's for sure something you have to work on, but it's self-awareness to me. And like really, and like you kind of did nail it with it, like, yeah, like I wish that I could have asked for the help then, but also I was connecting with myself. And like now I feel way more confident that if I feel overwhelmed in life, or if things feel heavier, like I don't hesitate to reach out to that support system now. And I think that came through, like, that's the only, like, thing I can say about that is, like, you have to be self-aware of, like, what you need to be able to ask for it.
And I think sometimes it just takes, like, you getting to a point, like, having an experience in your life, or, like, getting to a point where, like, that is what I was going to say. Is, like, when Tyler and I were going through our issues that we were having when we, like, lost our pregnancy previously and stuff, that was, like, the hardest time in my life ever. And I noticed myself, like, isolating. Like, I did not want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to do anything. Like, you don't at all. And it took me, like, going through that and realizing, like, I cannot do this alone. Like, I need people. And if I am trying to deal with this by myself, like, I will not get myself out of this. So I need to have my support system. I need to rely on my friends, Tyler, my mom, a therapist, connecting with myself. So I think it just, like, as devastating as that sounds, and, like, I hope it's not like that for everyone, that it's, like, you have to have just, like, a really horrible time in your life to get to that. But I feel like that is just a big reality sometimes, is, like, you just have to get, or have a very big influential moment in your life where you, like,
it's just like you have to experience
you have to kind of experience it and realize, like, oh, I was, like, and then just to now come out of it and be like, okay, I got through that one because I got through it myself, but because I, like, utilize my connections with other people. So
another thing to add on to the toolkit, or, like, a tangible tool actually, that I want to make sure, like, I can clearly articulate is a really good support system.
Yes.
And, like, it doesn't need to be 50 people. It doesn't have to be one person. Like, each person can define what that support system looks like. But if you don't spend the time, connecting with that support system and having, because, like, there's also times that I can think of in all of our lives where we've shown up for each other without asking. Like, 100%. It is like, yes, you need to know, like, when you maybe need that connection, but also if you have a really strong, caring, loving support system, they also will show up at your door sometimes, like, literally show up at your door with Chinese food, like, that, and those things, like, that matters too. Like, you don't,
it's like taking that time to, like, connect with people, putting in the work to like connect with people, then helps you in the times that you don't even necessarily know you need it, because then, like, your support system just knows without you having to articulate it that, like, oh, they need support. So then, like, if you've done the, like, pre-work, then, you know, then they can just, like, come to you without you even necessarily having to ask.
1,000%.
Do you have any tools, tangible items, anything that you want to touch on that wasn't brought up?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with you guys that, like, I think the reality is, like, you kind of have to go through it, and that's what each of us has experienced. And I think that, like, maybe this is an unfortunate reality as well, but I think that as you go through different types of those tough situations, it's like you almost do have to relearn it a little bit.
For sure.
And, like, I mean, I don't want to, like, go fully into it, but, like, I just agree with what you were saying so much, and, like, just, like, lightly say, like, I am really struggling with some, like, grief stuff right now, and it's been very challenging, and both of you have, like, recognized it in me before even I recognized it, and have, like, reached out. And so, like, yes, just, like, fully doubling down on, like, that, having your support system, like, you have to put effort into it to, like, get it out and whatever. So, like, yes, 100%, but I think also a reality that I've found recently with it is that I'm kind of learning about myself, that I'm in these times, I can accept support if it's given, but I have a very, very hard time just outwardly asking for it. And, like, I don't know, we were talking a couple days ago and it just kind of came up, and you were like, you essentially, like, offered up some support that I needed, and then I was able to be like, actually, but I just, like, know for myself where I'm at right now, there's no way I could have just, like cold call, reached out and been like, I need someone to come over today. And so I think, like, learning those sorts of things about yourself, like, I'm not learning that being like, okay, so that's how I am, I need someone else to always ask me, but it's like, okay, now I can recognize it, and maybe not right now, but maybe 5 times from now when I need this, I'll feel more comfortable because I've, like, sat with this and, like, accepted it for myself. So I think, like, it's not just about the self-awareness of, like, knowing what you need, but, like,
knowing where you're at.
Well, like, and knowing, like, what you're bad at in it.
Totally. Totally.
another, like, before I, like, actually wrap, like, I think we've covered, like, really well, like, friendship connections are just, like, unbeatable. Like, you create the support system, like, make it effortless to want to connect with the people in your circle. Like, do what you can, create the safe space.
Also,
handpick the people.
Just to, you know, kind of go into my stereotype, my character on the podcast, I also just think that it's good to look inward if you feel like you don't have that system.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes people just have shitty friends and it's on the other people, and I get that. But you also need to look inward of why you're attracting shitty friends
Or what you're seeking in your friendships.
Exactly.
What you're allowing.
I'm not trying to blame people for having shitty friends, but yeah, it's what you're allowing, it's whatever. And also if you feel like you're a person that's like this is gonna sound mean, but like, I understand that there are some people, and I feel like mostly girls, who are like, oh, I feel like I don't have a, like, friend group or, like, something like that. And I am not saying, oh, it's your fault that you don't have that. However, it's probably good to look at, like, why do you not have that? And maybe it's something very innocent and it's not something, like, bad, but it's like, oh, you're really shy or something, so you don't whatever. But I just think that sometimes when people don't have that, and this is not a blanket statement, some people are not like this, but I do find that the people that I know that don't have a huge support system, it's because they are pushing it away and they are not doing anything to build that.
Well, and like you said, it's just good to know everyone has different things, and if you are shy or if you push people away, like, that doesn't even necessarily mean you need to change that and not be shy, but it's just being aware of that, and then being like, okay, but I still it's important to still have connection in my life. So even though I am shy, I'm aware of that. What are the ways I can, like, get that connection while still being shy?
It kind of, to put it into, like, I don't know, a typical, like, saying. It's like that saying.
Sam's Pinterest quote coming back.
Seriously. It's fine. I'm going to hit you guys with another one here soon, too.
Oh, God.
This is what happens when I go to events.
Seriously.
But no, like, you literally, the saying, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, is literally what this is making.
So true.
Like, if you're giving honey out to the world, like, you're going to have the bees come into you. You're going to, like, people are going to want to be around. If you're vinegar, nobody wants vinegar.
No one wants that.
I'm sorry, do you want to be friends with vinegar?
I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something more about that?
No.
I was just about your Pinterest quotes. This is just, like, a little quick anecdote. Totally unrelated to this, but Alyssa and I were at the dollar store last night, and you know they always have those signs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, like there's always whatever. And there was one that said, dream big, and then it said be grateful, and then I don't even remember what the bottom said. But I walked past it, and I thought it said dream big, be careful.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's like dream big, not that big.
It's like dream big, but know that there's
dream big
consequences.
isn't big, and then be careful is really small.
Well, it was
Watch
like
out.
dream big, and then it was like ... and then it was like be grateful, and so that's a longer word, so it's in smaller font. And then there was something else below that I didn't read because I thought it said careful, and I was just like, what the heck is
And you
this
just
sign?
didn't buy the sign?
No, definitely
Or
not.
replace the mountain art with that.
When you just said live, laugh, love, I just saw a TikTok not too long ago, and this girl was like, why was the saying ever live, laugh, love? It definitely needs to be live, laugh, little snack. And I just, she was just saying it like so seriously too, and I was like, yeah, that's what
True love, we want the little snack.
But it was so
I
funny.
know what Tay's doing at our next girls' night craft night.
Yeah,
We're gonna be making
Live,
little
laugh,
clay things or
little
something,
snack.
and she's gonna be making that.
yeah.
Mine's gonna
taking
say
down-
dream big, be careful.
I'm just sticking with live, laugh,
What's
love over here.
your? Does this give you a good time for your other quote that you actually wanted to bring up, or no?
Well, I'll segue because we've now gone down the rabbit holes and I don't feel so bad just jumping from one to the other. But when we talk about connection, another thing I think is really important because, like, obviously, connect with your friends, like, and also check on your friends because who knows, maybe they're in that 15 cigarettes a day state and they need a little love and nourishment and caring.
Well, it is so much harder. Sorry, I'm not going to take us down a tangent again, but it is so much harder, like you were just saying, to like ask for help. I feel like most people can resonate with that. Of like, it's so much harder to ask for help. Whereas if you just have someone being like, "Hey, I'm here to help you," then you can accept it.
Or even having someone being like, do you need
help.
It's easier to say yes than to be like, hey, I need help.
Exactly.
Sorry. No, that's totally fair. But another area that I feel like it's just important to connect in general, like out with people you don't know. Like if all you do is talk and see the people,
Like if someone asks for your shopping cart or your...
Well, I'm not
Megan
talking
does
about-
not like that.
I'm not encouraging connecting with people at the grocery store specifically. But it's more just like kind of that like thought around like kindness and like what energy are you putting out there, and like even just taking the time to like put yourself out there and meet new people and like learning to connect with people you don't know. And like another example of this is like yesterday I was at this event. I saw a couple people I've never met face to face, but I've met them on a screen. I was in a virtual cohort with them. And, like, this sounds ridiculous, but, like, the hug you get from, like, a person you've literally never met in person, and it's just, like, this true hug where they're like, oh, my God, I'm excited that I'm meeting you.
Aww.
Like, it's such a nice feeling, and I know if that made me feel that way, like, I'm sure there are other people out there that have gotten that same hug, or I got asked to do a recap video, and somebody was asking me why I love that event so much, and it's because I walk through the door, and the person who runs the event is the first one there, and they just welcome you with literally open arms. Like, I'm not joking, like, a big hug. Thank you so much for being here. And it's that intentional connection piece where you just feel so valued. Like, I don't feel like I could have said anything dumb there because I was in a room full of people who were there to connect and, like, be with me. And it, like, the quote that I was going to bring up, and it was in one of the presentations yesterday, was, I don't have to know you to care about you. And I really liked that because I'm like, and, like, no, I'm not going out of my way to connect with every stranger that I see on the street. But, and, like, I know I don't have the means or the ability to help every person that's out there. But, like, me and you, for example, a few weeks ago, we're driving back to your house after we picked up Scotty from daycare, and there was a group of kids on the side of the road, and it looked like truly, like, these 5 kids were beating up this one kid, honestly, and you pulled over, and you were like, are you good? And they played it cool and whatever, and we don't know, but, like, I'm sure that kid, in that moment, he was probably like, oh God, lady, please leave. But when he went home and thought about it, like, that's a person who was there to stand up for him. And, like, we don't know, and maybe he was literally never thought about that, and I just like to think he thought that way.
He's like some
Sounds
weird
like
lady.
we were heroes.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just those small things you can do. Like, we didn't get out of the car, we didn't go interfere, but it's just, like, letting that, like, because we said, are you good? And that kid said yes. Do we think he was good? Honestly, no.
Yeah. But, like, what else?
But we did what we could do, and just letting him know that, like, he's a human and we're a human here to help. If he needed it.
I think that's so important. Like, even just hearing you say that, it just, like, got me thinking about, like, postpartum and stuff for me specifically, of just, like, that intentional connection with just, like, mothers in general. Of just, like, you just see moms in a whole different light when you're obviously in it and, like, you're experiencing it. And just, like, the way I have shown up for other moms that I know in my life now since becoming one, I'm like, man, I would have showed up for other people, like, before so freaking differently.
But you have to go through it to know it.
You have to go through it, and it's not, like, my fault or anyone's fault, but it's just, like, just having those little moments. Like, now I'm just so, like, intentional when I'm just, like, out and about or whatever, and if I see, like, a mom and their kid or something, of, like, just saying something of, like, I don't know, just if you see a nice moment or you see something, like, just making sure to, like, call those little moments out. You don't know them. It's not like you're going to become best friends with them, but just, like, making that time to have a little bit of an intentional connection, like that hug that you had, just, like, goes a long way.
Or even, like, to take it way back to pre-mom days when you're at a bar and you're in the bathroom and every single girl is your best friend because you've now complimented this girl's hair, this girl's crying, all of a sudden 7 of us are around her asking what she needs, like, those moments of connection where it's like, I will never see you again in my life, but, like, yeah, you cried on my shoulder because some guy went and made out with a different girl. But I will never talk to you again, but I'll remember that connecting moment.
Totally. I feel like literally, Taylor, you say something, and then I'm like, and here's me re-saying the same thing.
No.
But literally, when you were talking about that, it made me think, I didn't even really recognize how meaningful this was, but this morning, I went to a workout, and the studio I go to, there's just, like, a bunch of us that are pregnant right now, and one of the teachers that I go to all the time is pregnant, and this was her last class, and there was one other, well, and first of all, I'll just say, like, the studio did all this stuff for her. They, like, decorated the room. They sent everybody that was going a text last night being, like, wear pink or blue, so every single person in the class was dressed, like, in, like, matching stuff. There was, like, little cupcakes, like, all this stuff. So that's just, like, cute, like, people doing stuff like that. And she didn't know any of that. She didn't even know people were, like, wearing different colors or whatever. But
she shows up in orange.
Well, she actually was wearing red. So it was, like, a dark room. So she's like, well, I guess this kind of works. Which is like, what if I'd worn the green or something? There was another woman there who's also pregnant, and I don't know her at all, but, like, she's showing, so I obviously know she's pregnant. And there's been a couple of people now that are like, I can very clearly tell that they're pregnant in classes, and a couple of them I've just been like, oh, how far along are you? And then like they'll say, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm this far along. And like, it just, I feel like before I did it, or even like now that I've done it with a couple people, I was like, oh, I don't want to like ask them about it. Like, even though I know, I'm like, no, please, I want to talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk about my baby.
But I'm like, I don't know them. Like, they're gonna think it's weird. I don't want to ask someone if they're pregnant. Like, whatever, all that like stuff as well. But so now, like this girl this morning, her and I stood and talked for like a few minutes after class, and then me, her, and the teacher were all talking. We're like, once all of our babies are born, we need to like go for walks, like blah blah blah. We figured out we all live in the same neighborhood here, whatever. And it's like, I know, like you've talked about, like, you know, finding your mom friends, postpartum, and those sorts of things, that it's been so helpful. And it just was like this little moment that I was having like this seriously like battle in my head, being like, don't say anything to her, you don't know this person, like don't comment, whatever. And then it like turned into this like little moment of connection that potentially is gonna then turn into like community.
I love it. But it's and like exactly that. Like, it feels so uncomfortable sometimes to even like just go up to a group of people talking and know no one and be like, I'm the weirdo who's gonna join your conversation. Like, I battle that all the time. When I'm with a person, I'm so bold. As soon as I'm alone, I'm like this weird shy kid who doesn't know how to act. It's bizarre. Yeah. But like, so exactly, just like that person probably, it mattered to them probably so much.
She probably felt
you even
so
opened
good.
that door of conversation.
Yeah.
And now 3 of you now probably went home and were like, wow, I have like somebody who's going through the same thing that like I'm gonna get to connect with after.
Totally. Yeah, it's so helpful. And I think like in any sort of situation, whether it's like a mom thing or it's just like a party or it's a work event or whatever, it's like everyone feels awkward. And if they don't, they're a sociopath.
And if they're judging you for being awkward, they probably have their own insecurities.
Like then they're the weirdo in that situation. But like, it's so funny because it's like we all feel that way, but then it feels like it's this huge hurdle to be the one to like,
it feels like you're the only one who has ever gone up to someone in their entire life.
Well, and you're just like, oh, I'm the weirdest, I'm the most awkward, I don't know how to speak.
No one wants to talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was kind of just
I
everything.
love this episode.
Feeling
good.
So cute. Like I said, I had a different topic, and then I was like, do I do this one in like
Can you tell us your other topic, or are you
no, because it's going to be the next topic I do. It's still
Mystery.
very important in my mind, but I just thought, screw the other topic.
Sometimes it's just better to have, like, when we do it like this, and that's why I love the, like, today I am, not
like
theory,
template?
but yeah, template theory. I'm like,
template's not really right.
We're
No,
but
whole
like,
pieces on this?
formula.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
Platform?
No. The today
Concept?
No.
I'm just going to stop throwing words.
You know what I'm, format? Yeah, format. That's, yes. That's why I love the Today I Am format, is because I've done the same thing of like, I have a different idea in my mind that I want to talk about, and then even that, the morning of or 30 minutes before, it's like, oh no, something like this is where I am in the exact moment. And I feel like that, obviously that's the whole point of this, but it's just like, so like our episodes are so good when it's just like really in real time of where we're exactly
well,
at.
like that's again why I love this podcast, and I love that like we all got to start this together, because it's allowed me a way better platform to connect, even just with you two. Like we obviously hung out a fair amount before, but like I feel like we're a lot more intentional because we have to be, because there is a schedule we need to hit. But through that, like, these are just our chats that we'd have anyways. So,
exactly.
Like, and the, like, little debriefs we do after where we can catch up on stuff. And, like, also just getting to connect, like, my ultimate hope and dream is that there's one person that listens to maybe every episode. Maybe that's a pipe dream right now. I don't know. And each episode, one person can be like, wow, I felt heard in that. Or, wow, like, that actually, like, hit home.
Resonates.
If you ever do feel that, the comment would be amazing to get, because that is all I am waiting for. This is just one person to be like, man, this helped.
Sam wants that connection.
I do. I'm trying.
Be Sam's pipe dream.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, so that was kind of everything I wanted to talk about today with you guys. And yeah, that's a wrap.
Okay.
Bye.